Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Mysticons, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by April Collins.
Hello.
And Beatriz Mourad.
Hello.
Today, April, Beatriz, and I are very excited to talk about episode 26 of Mysticons, The Dragon's Rage. This is the season 2 finale, according to how the show is written. Although Nick will continue to air episodes as if it was in season 2, so we'll be getting another one next week. Spoilers for this episode: make sure you check out The Dragon's Rage. It aired today or yesterday on Nicktoons at 8 a.m. The show airs Saturday 8 a.m. on Nicktoons for new episodes. And check out overlyanimated.com to find all of our previous Mysticons podcasts. Subscribe YouTube or iTunes to not miss any future Mysticon stuff. Yeah, big spoilers here. Make sure you've seen this episode. We're very excited to get into this finale. A lot to talk about. April, what did you think of The Dragon's Rage?
It was wonderful. We got to see all of our friends, which is great. All of our friends. Like, the previously on, like, starting with Dredd Bane, I was like, well, guess we're gonna see Dredd Bane this episode. Like, and then as we went on, I was like, Kitty and Kasey, yes! Like, and so we got to see all of those beautiful MC moments, which are adorable, and I was just, like, squealing over them the entire time. I was like, oh my gosh, why are you guys so amazing and perfect, and I love you, and and then Arcana was being sassy, which is, I guess, like, it's usually Zarya who's being sassy, but they switched places, so it was like Freaky Friday wrapped into this episode as well, and it was just great, and like the music was on point, and we didn't have a transformation sequence, and
that's a headline,
like right, like I was waiting for it too.
I mean, they transformed into something else, yeah.
That's true, into more dragons. So there was all the dragons, different dragons, not just like your medieval kind, but we got kind of like that.
Not just like your medieval. Which dragons are the medieval kind that we have?
The spectral dragon is very like medievally.
I feel like that's more modern of a dragon. You know, it shoots out like a white light or something.
We never figured out what it
seems like a high-tech dragon.
It's high-tech. In our steampunk, whatever world. Yeah, okay. But no, I really enjoyed this. We got to see Kimra, so that was very exciting as well. We saw Tasma, I guess, doing things, and Necrofa doing things, even though I got really mad whenever like they destroyed Necrofa, and I was like, dang it, Dylan, why? Like,
what, why? Why did I say that was going to happen?
Yes.
Because I spoiled it, yeah.
But it's fine. But yeah, I was very hyped for this episode. This was like very much like a season finale kind of episode, so it was perfect.
Yeah. Something you said before. MC, of course, our name for M and Kasey, their ship. So,
that's
I don't think it's accepted enough that we can just throw it out there. We're trying to get it going, guys. Come on,
I'm pushing for it.
Yeah, we gotta use MC more. But yeah, a huge M and Kasey episode. Like definitely the biggest one. Okay. Beatriz, what did you think of The Dragon's Rage?
Dragons!
That's
They're dragons! Like in ways I didn't think when it would happen. I was like, wait, are they? And they did, and I was just so happy. And dragons, and I hope we see dragons again. I hope this is not just some one-off. I hope that they actually like transform into dragons and like become dragon things, like wear dragons, you know? I want that to be a thing, and I'm really rooting for it. And I really liked this episode. It was like I thought it was wonderful. And I thought it was going to be more, I thought it was going to annoy me that Zarya just kind of like embraced this twin thing, but I kind of loved it. I'm just like, oh, Zarya, you're so desperate for a family and you didn't tell us, you sweet, sweet girl. And we saw Kitty. She didn't get enough lines, but that's fine. It's fine. And yeah, I really love this episode. And we saw Kimra again, which is always a treat. And didn't I say that the MC dance sequence was going to be for this episode, not the wedding or something?
Yes, we got. That's hard to explain. The Mysticons YouTube put that in their Valentine's Day compilation, and they were like, "Wow, that's footage we haven't seen." So we're speculating if it was the Necrofa victory celebration or at a potential wedding in a future episode, but which we think might be coming. But yes, from the Necrofa victory celebration. This was incredible. The Dragon's Rage. What a great finale. Just as like hype and epic as the season 1 finale, except I think even more so. I absolutely love the third act of this episode. I think that it's like the best sequence of scenes we've ever gotten from the show. The pulling for Dredd Bane to give Arcana or Necrofa the rings is an incredible scene. Absolutely one of my favorites. We're going to talk about that a lot. And then after that, we have the magical girl turn into dragons, defeat Necrofa scene, which is also incredible. We just go one into the other, two of the best scenes of the show. And it's wonderful. We have the epilogue with the victory celebration. A lot of awesome stuff there. And then even before this, everything with Zarya and Arcana and how they're reacting to being sisters, and definitely not what we expected, and we'll talk about that. But I thought it was really, really well done. There's just a ton of stuff here. There's some great M lines. M and Kasey are incredible here. I think Proxima has great stuff to do in this finale. There's like 2 scenes I'm not crazy about in the episode, but they're still fine, But overall, it's just so exciting. It was really good. I think this might be the best episode of the show. I'm debating whether it's this or the season 1 finale.
That's a really hard. Good call.
I
know. I was doing my episode rankings and then waiting for this finale. And now I don't know it might be number 1. We'll see. Well, let's talk about it then. We'll get there. I guess we have to talk about. The thing I most want to talk about is the Dredd Bane scene, but I think probably slightly more important is the thing right after it with Zarya and Arcana turning into the twin dragons to defeat Necrofa, although it's kind of unclear, as we say with the jet reference from Avatar. Not really. What happened to Necrofa? What happened to the dragon? What happened to Dredd Bane? All fates undetermined. Although we see Necrofa's mask at the end is half disintegrated, and but half of it is still there. April, what was your reaction when they turned into dragons and they engulfed Necrofa and Dragon in a circle ball of magic, and then it exploded and disintegrated all the scepters?
I mean, there was so much I guess I had the same questions you did. I was like, is she actually gone? What happened? Because Arcana and Zarya are still intact. So does it only work one way? But it was very pretty. I thought it was a really nice sort of sequence and everything like that. But is Necrofa gone? Is she really gone? Or is she just temporary defeated? We've got our masks still. Where did all these people go? What happened to them, Dylan?
I'm very worried about the fate of the scepters and General Tibian. I think he might be dead after that attack.
Oh no!
I'm worried Tibian's gone.
Tibian's still alive. He did not get to go on this adventure to Drake City.
Yeah, I mean, he looks the same as all the other ones, so it's hard to tell if he was disintegrated or not. But
I think that if he was out there, we would have gotten to hear him.
Yeah,
so
we would have heard his awesome voice. Yeah, I think so. Okay, yeah, Beatriz, what was your reaction to that big moment?
I think a show that maybe didn't want to fully embrace kind of this D&D inspired kind of world would have just had them produce some sort of dragon and not made them the actual dragons. And I'm just so glad they actually went that far. I'm just so glad that they turned into this these amazing what's that word, reptilian beasts, and just I don't know, I loved it. I wanted more. A small part of me wanted Zarya's dragon to be a little bit more wolf-like, just a little bit. It's still a dragon, but had it be a little bit more hairy or something, so it could tie into
hairy
her
dragon.
To tie into her whole wolf thing, because that is something that's okay, she's the wolf, but she's also now a dragon. What's going on? But I really loved it. I was surprised by it, and I hope this isn't the last time we see that, or I hope that this doesn't become a thing that we only see when things get super bad. I mean, yes, that would make it more powerful because they can only do it sometime, rarely, but at the same time, I do want this kind of, I don't know. I want were-dragons. I want them to like have trouble controlling it. I want them to have like these senses issues where they're suddenly very sensitive to smell or something. I don't know.
Yeah, is this a thing moving forward? Because
I hope so.
I think the level 1 interpretation is that this was just because of the prophecy and because of the rings that they had.
Right.
So
did they get to keep the rings? I didn't see.
Yeah, I'm also not clear on that.
Like, here's your new jewelry. Enjoy. Like, accessorize appropriately.
They just get to wear it the rest of the series. Yeah, I don't know. We were all on the Little Witch Academia podcast, and this scene very much reminded me of the last episode of Little Witch Academia. Yeah. Yes. Just it's two young women going into the sky/space, depending on which series, and doing magical girl things to save the world. I mean, it's all just very Sailor Moon, right? But it's all this is like the show at its most magical girl, and I love that we went there. It's not like it makes a ton of sense what's happening. I think the plot justification is, and this is the big reveal, is that what I think Arcana and Zarya are alternating saying this. The prophecy was right. The one will be purged by the dragon's rage, but not your dragon, ours. Release the twin dragons. So it's like a second twist on the prophecy. It wasn't referring to the spectral dragon. It was referring to them turning into dragons.
I also thought that line was very like powerful too. Like in terms of like the sequence and everything like that. It was very like that. It was all very well executed for sure. So
yeah, it's a very in the Little Witch Academia comparison, they metamorphe Fuche into dragons, and then they
everyone gets to be dragons.
Yeah. It's I don't know. This was, and that comparison doesn't help the continued Arcana Zarya shipping, because it was
no,
that is true. But I mean, I will say, and this is something I think the main issue I have with the show really is that they have these wonderful moments, these wonderful climactic moments, but I always want more build up to them. I just, like, for instance, like, they just get the rings and suddenly they, exactly what to do, exactly what to say. There's never been the thing of like, well, maybe possibly that isn't the dragon. It's just this, I love the moment. I just wish they had done a little bit more build up. And it's the same thing with Dredd Bane as well, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
Right. That's the most frequent criticism I've seen of this episode, is that the rings come out of nowhere, and they are the thing that ultimately defeats Necrafa. Necrafa is this villain we spent the entire season 1 reviving and building up to. This entire season 2, she's been the this main evil force. Like, she's, as far as we know, is the evil force in the history of the world. And then she's defeated by an artifact which is introduced in this specific episode. Yeah. So I think that's kind of unfulfilling in terms of the overall narrative. So, like, the question is, why not introduce these rings in the beginning of the season? Why not making a season-long quest to find the rings?
But we've never done like season-long quests. Like,
I think season 1 was the quest to the Codex. Like, we got to get the Codex pieces.
Well, and also, but even
debone.
And the whole thing. The parents, that doesn't happen. We'll talk about that.
We're still on that.
Yeah,
still on it. It's still happening.
But even when they were like, "Oh, you have to go find the books of the Codex or whatever," like, those were all like very like each one-time episode kind of things. Like, they've never. It was never anything that was like projected out or like lasted.
It's multiple books though. It's like multiple things had to happen, wasn't it? Like, it was like the multiple parts of one larger thing. So if it was like, oh, we have these 2 rings, if they had split it up, like, oh, we need to find one ring that's in one place and then another ring that's in another place. And if the other ring that was Zarya's ring, but we didn't know about it, was close to her adoptive parents, and then we got to meet them. I mean, it could have worked. It just, it could have been more spread out. If Necrafa was supposed, again, this is me bashing Necrafa again, if she was supposed to be this really big bad villain that we were supposed to fear, she was gone. She's done in one shot. And
that's why I think that this it works, because Necrafa wasn't as menacing a force as she might have been. Like, I don't think it's super unfulfilling. Wow, this Necrafa was this awesome, huge, menacing villain, and she was defeated by this one episode thing that's so lame. No, I think that we're like, okay, we have enough with Necrafa, so this is fine. I think
we're over her.
Yeah. Although I think this is a great Necrafa episode again. So these last 2 episodes, so good for Necrafa. Definitely making me miss her, although we'll speculate on whether we've seen the last of Necrafa.
We haven't.
I think this episode encapsulates this entire season. There's not really a continued narrative thread throughout the whole season. The thing that's most there is the prophecy, which isn't introduced till halfway through the season. And even then, the element of the prophecy that is like a season-long arc is the who's the twin stuff. Like, I think that's the part which is really well built up episode to episode, and it results in the Zarya twist. That's the thing that we'd been noting, like the build up every episode. This, like, it's not the spectral dragon, it's us turning into dragons. It's not fulfilling on an overall narrative level because, it's like, I get that Arcana is the dragon mage, but other than that, like, what would we have known that we could think that this was capable of happening, what they do in this episode? It's just like the text of the prophecy. So, and the only other narrative thread throughout the entire season was Necrafa herself, and even then she'd been off and on the whole season. So I think it's a fitting finale for this season, which was more focused on individual episodes, and I do think the season is comprised of incredible individual episodes, this chief among them. So I think it's fitting. I'd love for season 3 to have more of a narrative thread continuing through it. But at the very least, I don't think this hurts this specific episode. It
works fine. I think, and my thing is, and again, this is the thing with like the moments and the buildups. If it's introduced in this one in the moment, it's great, but if they don't follow through, if we don't see these rings introduced and incorporated more later on, and if they're only just used sparsely, I could understand why, because they may be like this really powerful thing, or they only happen because of the prophecy or whatever, but it wouldn't be a problem if I don't know, if I see more of them, if there's more buildup, if there's more there, like more mythology built around them and more about like, yo, you guys just turned into dragons. What is that going to do to you? But I mean, if it's just this kind of one-off thing that we never go back to ever again, then yeah, I think it will hurt it later on. It won't take anything away from the moment of this episode, like the value of this episode. But in terms of like overall, what will that do to the show in terms of the show quality versus the episode quality? Yeah, it might hurt it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be starting a new season, a new arc, story-wise. So I don't know if it's going to tie into what's coming. But yeah, we'll have to evaluate it looking back. April, do you agree that you don't like the lack of a narrative continuity throughout the entire season, like some people?
Yeah, kind of. But I think like, it's nice to have, like, something going on always kind of thing. And it just seemed like with this season, there wasn't really a whole lot that was going on. It was just like, oh, Necrafa's there. She's the villain. But, like, that was it. It was just like, oh, she's there, but we didn't actually see her. And I mean, we did see her, but not a whole lot. And I would really like to kind of see the show kind of go back to like season 1, if that makes sense, where like there was a lot going on, and it sort of flowed in like from episode to episode. And the season was very like, okay, here's like a episode. And while it's not like slice of life, like most like filler episodes tend to be, like a lot of it just felt very like filler-esque. So, I would like, like going forward for it to have like a lot more of that like continuity that it did last, like in season 1 versus this season. Not that this season wasn't great, because there was a lot of really, really good episodes, but there were also a bunch that sort of fell flat. And we said multiple times that we would have liked to have seen them do more with like this idea, this concept. So like in going back to like the rings thing, like if we take those rings and we go and do something with them, that would be great. And that would be a good like transition from this season into the next season. Which, like going from season 1 into season 2, I thought that flowed very nicely. And so I just would like to see that flow once again. Like, okay, we have these rings, we have half of Necrafa's mask, like let's take that and then go forward with it kind of thing.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see more from season 3. I wasn't bothered by the rings thing, to be honest. Because like I said, I don't really, Necrafa, she can be defeated by one thing, whatever.
Poor Necrafa.
Yeah, it's fine. I think overall, looking back at season 2, there's just so many good episodes. This would be a nice to have. Like, you look at episodes 7 to 12 of this show, and there's a lot of running narrative continuity. I think it's in large part due to the fact that we're just introducing a lot of stuff at once in season 1. I think that's why it works more there. Interested to see how season 3 functions, but In terms of, no, not a big deal to me for this specific episode. Other great things to talk about here, like this Dredd Bane scene right before the ending. We have Arcana and Necrophora trying to appeal to Dredd Bane to give them the rings. We have our song of the episode playing the background real world song, which is Keys by Natalia. Thanks to Matt for telling us on Twitter what that is. That's awesome song usage. And it's like they're trying to appeal to Dredd Bane while also Arcana is kind of talking about her own journey. She says, you have to fight for the things you love, your home, friends, starmates, show Malveron, starmates, big moment, your sisters, and then we see Tasma and Proxima, like, dueling, which I feel like is Harry Potter 4, end of Harry Potter 4 style with the beams. Yeah. And then we see Zarya as well. She says, but there's nothing you can do to make them love you back. And then we have this Dredd Bane's like, tell me you love me. Nothing you can do to make you love you back. Allison Core's line read on that line, I think is so incredible. That's like one of my favorites of the entire series.
Yeah, totally. I mean, but who has not loved her back though? Like, I love the line. Love it. Absolutely. And I can understand, like, okay, she like, fight for what you love with like her parents that has something has yet to be solved. But when has she had to learn, oh, okay, this person is not going to love me?
I mean, I think she's directing it at, right. So I think possibly Proxima.
But the thing is, like, Proxima, it started that way and then they still ended up getting super close. So my thing is, had it been, say, for instance, had Malveron, for instance, like, not been into Arcana, even I know impossible, but had he not been interested in her, and had she had to work through that and just accepted, like, okay, sometimes you're not going to get what you want. Like, it doesn't make sense, especially right after we had this whole thing with, like, if she hadn't been okay with her and Zarya, like, committed to it, like, actually, like, you know what, I don't know if I'm okay with this, like, shift.
Right, it's not like, a direct parallel to things in Arcana's like it was, like, we saw the scenes that we flashed to, and it's like a current flash, we see what's happening in the present.
Yeah.
Those are direct parallels to Arcana's life. This isn't necessarily a direct parallel. The way it ties is into the Arcana and Zarya sister stuff that was happening. And this isn't something I noticed upon first viewing, but there's an incredible parallel here to one of the opening scenes of the third act, where Arcana, like, Zarya's, we'll go over the whole Arcana and Zarya relationship, but in this episode, but Arcana's like, no, for real, I'm happy to be your sister, and she says, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, and then
that is a parallel. That's a really good parallel.
And then hugs her, and then after, in this scene, Dredd Bane says, tell me you love me, and Necrophora says, I love you, I love you, I love you, now give me the rings. They say it 4 times each. It's such an, I'm in love with that parallel, and Dredd Bane's like, you can tell I'm such a fool, and then Necrophora's like, I hate you immediately. She can't
immediately.
Necrophora's downfall is that she cannot, show. She cannot love. She cannot show human like warmth and love and stuff. She's this evil Lich Queen. It's kind of a basic theme of like love versus hate, and I think that it's demonstrated so well here. And then Dredd Bane's like. Alas, Necrophora, it's time. And literally, let's go the rings. Yeah.
Totally. I think again, I love the line and the line read. It's just that it's crazy to think that Malveron saying that line makes more sense than Arcana saying that line. Is what I'm trying to say. I
think they're both always into each other.
I don't mean that. I mean that Malveron has Tasma who keeps like hurting him and has not like, who keeps
there's a world in which they do that Malveron towards Tasma. Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? That's what I mean. It's just simply, I love the line, love the thing.
I would argue that Arcana doesn't need to have a direct parallel in her life. This is something she knows because she's always had warmth and love in her life, and she is like a good loving person. So she knows that you can't force someone to love you. So she's trying to impart this advice onto Dredd Bane. I don't think it needs to be a direct parallel.
I think it would have been more powerful had it been from someone who actually who had to accept that. Versus someone who's never really had to face it, even though she's I don't know. I just feel like it would have been more powerful, but it's fine. I also
do think the Proxima stuff is going to come into play. Yeah.
Oh well, I was gonna say that, and also like I think it you shouldn't necessarily ignore like how, you know, her and Zarya's relationship, because they didn't like each other in the end, and you have to grow into that love, you know what I mean, even though it's not like romantic in nature, though we all wish that it had been. but like it's not that she, you know, she hasn't necessarily been she hasn't had a relationship develop throughout the show, you know, and while we all wanted, or you know, we would all assume that it would be Malveron that is the relationship that she was sort of building to, and we haven't had that at all. But she has been working on a relationship with Zarya, and I think it's a lot of the like putting yourself out there kind of thing. So like she's putting herself out there, she's, you know, growing a bond with someone else, where, you know, like Dredd Bane was putting his love out there for Necrofa. So I think the parallel, it's still a parallel, though not necessarily both romantic. And I think that's okay. And I think it works really well with all of this, because this show has never been like super romantically driven, if that makes sense. I mean, we like to formulate things in our brains, but like whenever you look at it, it's not necessarily like, oh, this entire time we've been like building a romantic relationship between X and Y. And I know we have like M and Kasey, and that's different, but in terms of like Arcana, it's I don't know.
Yeah, the Arcana Malveron stuff is always very background. It's like not a major part of her character.
Yeah. It's background, and it's always like very much hinted at. It's never like outright. It's like, oh, there's this one boy, like that one line. You know what I mean? Like, and that was it. It was just one line that you know she kind of spoke.
Yeah, so, I'm not saying it had to be love, like romantic love. I'm just saying that.
I agree with April. I think the parallel is there with Arcana and Zarya. It's not like super, you know, it's possible that it could have been more powerful if it was such a direct parallel, but it mirrors that Arcana and Zarya's relationship is complicated. They're different. They didn't immediately get along. They grew to like each other. And now that there's more tension there, on Arcana's side, because she's having trouble adjusting to it, and that, you know, the solution isn't that Zarya, I guess, is like affection, and then she's like, yeah, it's you know, Arcana is loving back of her because of this great buildup that we had. I think it's fulfilling in the same reason that Zarya being the twin was fulfilling, because of the buildup of Arcana and Zarya's relationship that we'd gotten.
All right, fair. Now I'm also getting a different reading now that we are talking about this. Maybe, unknowns to us, Arcana is just like, she was like romantically interested in Zarya, and now it's like, whoa, you're my sister. I have to let go of this. You know, well, like
in another world,
maybe there's this like hidden meaning there where she's like, I just got Luke and Leia, and I gotta stop this.
Yeah, she said that. Yeah, it would be great. But anyway, April, overall, what did you think of the scene with Dredd Bane?
I loved it. It was great. Like it was so well like executed, and I know we just keep talking about it, and like the parallels were perfect for me. I did. I loved it so much, and I thought it was just like it fit perfectly within the episode and in the scope of what was going on within the episode. So I'm like, I was hyped for it. Like, and the music choice was perfect. Like, they're always so good at picking like great background music to go along with what's going on. So
yeah, I agree. The music choice. Beatriz, outside of the one line,
of the line, really great. I really it tugged at my emotions, because I was like, oh, Dredd Bane. But again, I wish we had seen more of Dredd Bane leading up to this, because I thought last time we left him, I thought that it was like done, that he was over Necrofa. Like, right. I thought he was already like against her. So had they maybe spread his journey out a little bit, had we seen a little bit more of him throughout in some episodes, so that could have been clarified, because that was, I think, one of the most surprising things. Like, he was still like trying to find Necrofa's love for him, and I was trying to think back to when he does come back. I don't know. I think that in itself was not the best well handled, but the moment was great. Just
more on Dredd Bane in a
build
second.
up. Yeah.
I have a hot take. I think this is the best scene of the show. Supplanting my previous best scene, which was the runes in the sky from the season 1 finale.
Oh man, that was a good scene.
That's still my favorite. But this is also incredible. I mean, both have the songs. I'm a sucker for the music usage in the show. But I love the scene so much. What really cemented it for me is the parallel to Arcana and Zarya earlier in the episode. It's so good.
And when Arcana still calls Proxima her sister, I cried. I was like,
yes, that was so good. Yeah, that's really good too. But yeah, Allison Court. But there's nothing you can do to make them love you back. Oh my God. I love it. It's so powerful. Let's talk Dredd Bane. Yeah, because it was surprising that Dredd Bane tried to get the rings for Necrofa in the first place, because the last time we see Dredd Bane is episode 19, where he comes out of the portal, but before that he is kind of convinced to go against Necrofa, or at least that's the last we see of his state. But in this episode, we see the shadowy figure is Dredd Bane in the flesh, so to speak, he says. And Necrofa, he wants the rings for Necrofa. He says, our love is complicated. So that's his explanation for why he...
complicated.
Yeah. I think given I buy it, given his behavior in this episode, he initially wants the rings, but then he's pretty quickly convinced, once he is reminded that Necrofa does not love him, to not give her the rings. So, like, I think the stuff we saw at the end of episode 19 is still there. It's just, we're battling against a millennia of like obsession / love for Necrofa. So, like, I think if you look at it from that perspective, that being said, this really is the bare bones of what we could have gotten from the Dredd Bane
Pun intended.
Pun intended on the Beatriz saying pun intended. Bare bones, yeah, okay, that's funny. It's just it's like 7 episodes later, and we don't check in on him at all. And in episode 19, that's the last we saw of him since 12. Very much the minimum of the Dredd Bane arc that we could have gotten. I still think it works, but there, if we determined this was important, we could have also had this be a whole thing. Is that do you think that would have been better, Beatriz?
Yeah. I mean, and again, what I'm asking for isn't like a substantial amount of screen time dedicated to Dredd Bane, this character that isn't one of the main people on the show, but just a little sprinkle here and there, because he was just kind of gone since he left the portal.
Yeah.
Since there was no screen time for him. So I just would have preferred, if he was going to play such a big role in this finale the way he does, like, I kind of would have preferred just a little update on, hey, what's Dredd Bane up to, which we could have had, because some episodes.
To me, it's similar to the rings, which is like, we could have just mentioned them earlier. We could have had them in like 1 or 2 episodes to make that work. I feel
even
like
a lot just throw a line out about that.
Yeah, I'm not asking for like an enormous storyline just for that. I needed a little more cushioning just to get it. To not be such a disjointed thing. A standalone thing on its own.
Right, yeah, standalone. That's a great, yeah, exactly. I think it's a philosophical writing choice by the show to have it be standalone plots and not season-long narrative arcs. Yes. I think that, like, this, we've seen that throughout several things. This, whether you like it or not, I think it's a conscious choice. We don't check on Dredd Bane throughout the season. He's just in these specific 2 episodes. We don't have the rings throughout the entire thing. We don't introduce the prophecy in the beginning. It's we don't have a season long thing for Necrofa. It's a choice to have more standalone stuff. And I think the perspective of, if they just threw in a line here, I think that's just not what we're trying to do. Should we have or have not have? That's another discussion. But yeah, April, did the Dredd Bane stuff bother you at all? And in general, this standalone thing, your thoughts on that?
No, it didn't really bother me too much. Mostly because, like, that's kind of what the Necrofa thing has been, like, the entire time, so I think it just worked in with her sort of story arc and within the show. So I wasn't bothered by it. I could have been, but like, as soon as, like, I guess we like started it, I was like, okay, well, this is going to end quickly. So there's no point in like investing myself too much in the Dredd Bane Necrofa relationship. And again, even so much so, like, the rings thing. I mean, if we go forward with the rings again, that's fine. But like, as it is right now, it's okay.
Yeah, the Dredd Bane specifically, I don't think would have worked that much better if we'd seen him once or twice more. I think.
Like I can't imagine like where or how we would have like fit it in. You know what I mean? Like we would have had to have had another episode that would have led us back to where he was. And
right, I mean, you can just insert Dredd Bane into like the Singer episode, right? Like he can just be randomly there doing something. But I think it decreases the power of bringing him in this episode if you do that.
Yeah.
But I understand why we're doing that, and
it's more impactful this way, I think. Like, because if we had seen more of him, I don't think that it would have like meant us. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I agree. It's more impactful. Yeah. Yeah, and so I guess quickly we can speculate on this. Will we see Dredd Bane or Necrafa or the dragon again? Let's go Dredd Bane first. April.
Maybe, yeah. He'll be like a joke now.
Is he Dredd? If we see him, and second part, if he's Dredd Bane, will he be Dredd Bane or General Bane?
He'll be Dredd Bane.
Reginald Bane.
Unless there's a whole episode where they try and turn him back into Reginald. That would be exciting.
And an entire episode dedicated to deboning. Let's get these parents also deboned.
Yeah, that would fit in really nicely. So
I think it's worth asking, since we defeated Necrafa, is the Necrafa's Dredd Bane magic gone? Is Dredd Bane turned back? Are the parents deboned and we just haven't seen it yet?
No.
Probably not.
It's too easy.
We would have probably seen it in this episode.
Oh, and also, yeah.
Beatriz, Dredd Bane again, yes or no?
I think so. I think we will see him some way. I don't know. I don't think his story. I think we need, even if it's just a simple, even if he doesn't play a big role in the plot, and it's just a simple like, what's the epilogue for Dredd Bane? I think we will see him again. I don't know in what capacity, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. Necrafa. Is Necrafa really defeated? Will we see her again, April?
We might see her like once or twice, but that's because the next episode is called The Mask, right? So it's going to be, I think she'll be there in some regard, maybe not her necessarily.
I mean, we see the mask at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
It's not Necrafa.
It's not Necrafa.
I mean, maybe presumably, we don't really know.
We don't know, but I think like maybe there's a good chance.
Yeah. Beatriz.
I think the mask is Necrafa. I think it was a visually they made it very clear that only half the mask survives. I think that mask represents Necrafa, and whoever wears it, whether that's Tasma or Proxima, whoever next puts it on, they're gonna have to fight for their body spiritually with Necrafa. Necrafa's gonna want to take that. Like, I think she's still.
So you think Necrafa's going to be an actual presence on who?
Totally. I think I think the mask isn't just like magic. I think it's still like Necrafa is still there, just in a weaker state, and she needs a vessel to continue.
Voldemort got it.
Yeah.
I'm very much on the train of Necrafa was a person who put on the mask and was transformed into the Lich Queen. So I think we will see Necrafa in her human state. That will be a surprise, I guess, because we didn't introduce that. I think I agree. Whoever puts on the mask, and the top two contenders clearly are Tasma and Proxima. Proxima because she's disgruntled, and the episode description of next episode is she goes. If you watch the preview clip, she goes with the Mysticons to retrieve the mask. So there's an opportunity there. But Tasma is the logical thing, as I talked about last podcast. Whoever puts on the mask probably transforms into some version of Necrafa. That wrinkle of Necrafa, like, as the Lich Queen, is still there inside. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Although I do think Necrafa is an individual person who put it on, so I don't know how that works, whether she was herself or whether she was the mask talking this whole time.
Okay, but then what is her real name? Because Necrafa is such a, like...
Yeah, I mean, it's something we don't know, right?
Like, I don't know, it's such a evil name. Like,
yeah,
I think way.
Necrafa is the Lich Queen name. She is a real name, yeah. And there's an episode, the episode after the mask is called Save the Date, which to me invokes wedding, and the question of like who's getting married in this universe. I think Reginald Bane and original Necrafa are very much contenders.
Oh my gosh. That's a really good contender. I like
don't know,
it.
but
And they invite
Yaga-
the Mysticons.
Right.
Yes.
Other contenders
So
like
big.
Anti-Yaga and Novateron, and then there's like Gawain and someone, but he's probably not old enough. Other than that, there's no one really.
Gawain and Leticia.
Gawain and Leticia, yeah.
Wasn't our idea like Gawain's mom was getting married or something
Right,
like that?
Yeah, you could turn that into the Gawain's family backstory episode and have it be Gawain's. Yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah, there's contenders there, but I do think we'll see original OG Necrafa and Reginald Bane again. That's my thought. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like Dredd Bane would be instantly turned back because Necrafa was defeated. Although Dredd Bane was turned in episode 9 because he puts on we see the flashback because he puts on the necklace.
The necklace, yeah.
I don't know what's up with the necklace because the necklace was gone. The mask survives. Does that mean Dredd Bane's free? But the parents aren't deboned. I don't know what's up. The dragon. How about that? Will we see the spectral dragon again?
Nope.
No, sadly.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I really wanted them to have a pet dragon.
Yeah. Rip. That being said, in episode 10, Anti-Yaga says, in the future, you guys will have a baby dragon. So will the spectral dragon revert to a baby and the Mysticons get it?
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, these are all possible. There's a lot of stuff that could happen.
Like,
Okay,
I'm all
never
for baby
mind.
dragon. See, but what if, what if, in order to, like, get the dragon on their side, Arcana and Zarya have to turn into dragons in order to communicate with
Why
them?
do you want them to be dragons?
Yes.
Because I want the were-dragon thing to be a thing.
Were-dragon would be cool,
Were-dragon.
He just turn into a dragon and then never again turn into a dragon.
Better yet,
Just not
because Zarya is the wolf, only she is the were-dragon.
Ooh,
And
yeah. That would be rad. Come on, that would be so cool. I'm not giving up.
We'll see.
If they do
Still,
not do this, like,
So I can just feel you shaking your head at this.
I mean, it's
I am.
cool. I just absolutely don't think the show's doing it, but it would be awesome.
I think it would be a wasted opportunity, and I would be very upset if they don't, because you can't just introduce this and not follow through.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a specific thing of them turning into dragons. Maybe we'll see it again. Okay, let's,
We'll
there's a
see
lot
it
of stuff we
again.
haven't talked about. Quick hits. Em and Kasey, huge episode for their relationship.
Ooh, poo tinkle.
So first of all, we start with Kasey calling Em Poo Tinkle, her nickname from her parents. What do we think of that move?
No. Like, look, the nickname's cute, but if it's a family nickname,
Isn't
is a
that
family
weird?
thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
No, like, I do not, like, no.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's a good move, calling your girlfriend the name her parents call her.
Why did you have to point that out? I kind of loved it. I was like, poo tinkle, yes.
Yeah, he kind of turns it into Boo Tinkle, I think, or Shmoo
Maybe.
Tinkle. Like, yeah, then they do things with it.
I couldn't I was like, is it poo tinkle? Is it boo tinkle? Like,
Yeah, it's like, is it like BEAU Tinkle, like boo, yeah, like that, boo, and Shmoo Tinkle, one of them calls each other, yeah, and then at the end they're saying they're dancing and they say love you Boo Tinkle, love you Shmoo Tinkle. So love you, wow,
so
big steps.
Yeah, really.
look, they thought they were gonna die, okay?
And given how they do you, like, that nickname that they use insinuates that he's already met her parents. Because maybe they called her that
so,
when
yeah.
he was there, like, at dinner, and then...
Why didn't we
he was
see
like,
that?
Yeah,
It would've been
I
great
want
to
that
see.
episode.
But that's the insinuation. So that's
Yeah,
also
then-
a big step. He met the
I
parents.
don't know if that's an insinuation. It could have just been that he heard one of the Mysticons teasing her about that or something. But yeah, with Kasey meeting the parents definitely has to happen. But yeah, they say love you. Wow, big step. It's
love
canon.
it.
MC.
It-
It couldn't be more canon.
Look, I'm okay with it. Like, I've been on the MC ship forever, so since it was introduced.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been wonderful. Only second behind the Moon Boon. Not a big Moon Boon episode. That is
There was
episode's big
zero
flaw.
boon boon.
No, there's at the end. Kitty
They were
says
together.
Kitty says to Zarya that you wanted her to be happy. She's happy. So like, it says Kitty knows about Zarya being the twin. Zarya told Kitty about her frustrations with Arcana not reciprocating. Like, it implies all of that stuff. So that's continues to say they're close. We would have loved to have seen Zarya telling Kitty that she's the royal twin, and Kitty's reaction to that.
Yeah.
That seems,
That would have been nice.
But I will appreciate the visual cues we see, because like that shot is of like they're watching MC dancing and stuff, right? And then you have this shot of Malveron with Arcana, Zarya with Kitty, and it's like they're giving us these very clear shots of these are the couples. So while we didn't get a moment, which is sad, and I do wish that we could have, like, similar to the Meet the Parents thing, I wish we could have gotten like that sort of, hey, guess what? I'm a princess now. And then Kitty making fun of her, because of course she would make fun of her. I would have loved that, but I do appreciate the visual cues that we are getting, where they're just kind of like, I mean, it kind of does also show like the limitations given this type of representation, but they're planting these seeds. If we are going to get like a big emotional moment later on, these are the steps that they're taking for that.
Yeah,
which I appreciate.
I agree. It parallels episode 1 or the season 1 finale, where we got the clear cut between all the couples again.
Yeah.
And I think it's frustrating to not have the Moon Boom being Kitty and Zarya romance in this finale. But if we have a whole season 3 arc with them growing romantically, then I think it makes sense to not get into it yet. So,
yeah,
we're hoping. Second best line read of the episode, another MC line from Vani Rosen, who says, "Don't worry your cute little head. We got a secret weapon." I love the click she does with the wig.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, M's really great in this episode, and
M is always great. Get out of here.
M always great, and yes.
Sorry, speaking of M was fantastic. I have a question about Piper. She has did her costume change, or is that just my eyes being funky?
I don't think her costume. What did you think?
No, it's this little kind of cape, kind of spirally thing. Was that always there? Or did I
think it's there. I think it's always there.
Yeah.
I did not notice, or it's much more present this time around, because I was like, hey,
Piper's a very intricate outfit. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, and then Kasey goes on with M's subplot to recruit Kimra, and he gets promised to Kimra if he loses to rub
right?
Oh, that feet shot. Ooh,
that was very SpongeBob to me.
Yeah, that's true.
I was not a fan, but it's okay. And Kimra says, "Handsome Buccaneer" to Kasey. She says, "This is the face of troll who don't care." The whole Galami Slamo Spank thing. If Kimra win, Buccaneer give Kimra a relaxing foot massage. And then M blows up the magnet, and you do fight dirty, and she wins. Thoughts on this subplot, April?
It was nice. I liked it. We got to see Kimra, and I like the Kimra and Kasey dynamic, like Kimra, Kasey, and M dynamic. It's really fun, and so I think it worked in really nicely with all of the, I guess, seriousness that was taking place. So, because I guess our B plots of episodes tend to be like the fun ones, and so it was like a fun one that was like relevant to what was going on. So I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I think that was the intent. Beatriz, thoughts on the Kimra stuff?
I enjoyed it because Kimra, I just love her personality. I think she's great, but I mean, I like it because it was like a kind of like rally the troops. We got to get everybody on board. But I also would have liked to see more like, I don't know, I just prefer the pirates over the trolls. So I would have preferred to have more time dedicated to the pirates than the trolls.
At least we got the pirates, but yeah, we didn't get. We saw random thing. We saw an individual action shots of all the background pirates fighting.
Yeah, but and like the ship's gone, so that means that they're probably going to stay here a while as they fix their ship.
Wait, what happened to the ship?
Yeah, it got destroyed by the spectral dragon.
Yeah, it got shot down. So
I was not tracking the ship's movements in that scene. Okay, interesting. Yeah, that means they have to
you have to pay attention to these things, so you know when Moonboon takes place.
That's the most
that is what I was keeping track. I was like, oh yes, so that means she has to stay.
Go nowhere.
I don't know if they're in the next episode though.
That's
we'll
okay.
See.
They're spending the episode working on the ship. They have to.
Okay. We're all trying to get the ship afloat. That is Moonboon, right? So, what? No, you didn't like that one? That pun on ship and ship?
No. Yeah, I apprecited it. I appreciated.
That was her.
I was choosing not to acknowledge it. So.
What? That's the too far. Okay.
Yeah, it was like that. It's that when you said that, immediately I thought, oh wait, maybe this is like a foreboding sign, like the ship's going down, which means
don't worry about it. Go on,
no, which means like we won't be seeing her for a while. You know what I mean? It's like that symbolizes that Kitty's not going to be present.
I don't think we're having actual ship symbolism. I was not a huge fan of the Em and Kasey recruiting Kimra subplot. That was one of the two parts of the episode I wasn't that big of a fan of. It was better than the Doug Malbron stuff last episode, but it does result in one of the best scenes of the episode, which we haven't talked about yet, which is right before all the Dredd Bane stuff. They come in on the train. Sorry we were late. Public transportation.
Oh, yeah.
And then they, Em like slices off the train rail to hit the dragon with the tram train. This scene is Mysticons in one visual, which is ancient magic dragon being attacked by modern futuristic train. Yeah, that's like the show in a nutshell.
So hard. I think I laughed harder the second time because I was just like, this dragon just got hit by a train. Like, who thinks of that?
That's great. Yeah, like I love when we utilize the modern urban aspect of the show like that. It is really great. The second part, there's two parts, two scenes I didn't love that much. One was the recruiting Kimra stuff. Mainly it's just because Galemi Slamos Bank just seems weird. I don't know.
Yeah, that was childish. Kind of yeah. But it's a kid's show, so
yeah. But I don't like. Okay, don't bring that up. We don't talk about that here. Yeah, I get why, but yeah, it seems a little childish. The other thing was Gawain's speech in the beginning of this episode. So we have Em and Piper's inspiring speech with Drake City. Lend me your ears, be they pointy, floppy, or furry, says Piper.
Put on your fighting pants.
Yeah, Piper had some good additions, but then Gawain comes up in the flying limo. It was like, it's time to run.
I knew that was gonna happen. And I was so mad.
I think it's kind of funny. My problem is that it's the exact same speech he gives in episode 14. When Necrofa comes, he's on the broadcast and he's like, panic, I'll be fine. They should panic. Like, we've gotten this humor beat from Gawain before. I wasn't a big fan. I don't know. It's not that important. It was right in the beginning of the episode, but yeah. I feel like we did have great Gawain stuff later though, with Gawain hugging all the Mysticons.
I was gonna pitch that should be the scene grab for this episode because I saw it and I was like, this is the greatest. Like, and all of their reactions to him hugging them was great. Like Zarya just looks like she is not having it, and that's my
Piper has like her tongue stuck out. That was originally what I was going to put as the screen cap, but I don't think it's emblematic of the whole episode. So I have Zarya and Arcana sticking their hands up to get the rings falling down.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Guess
the Gawain shot. The Gawain shot's funnier, but it's like Gawain wasn't that important in this episode. I don't know if he should be.
Which is why it's the best one.
You know what I would have appreciated instead of him saying, like everybody run. I would have appreciated him like getting the megaphone and being like, Leticia, where are you? You know, showing he's still selfish. You know, like he's still like
the world. Come on, yeah.
Like he doesn't care about like his people. He just wants like Leticia, but it shows that he cares about something. You know, it would have been a little bit more.
We haven't had the follow up to Leticia and Gawain since episode 21. Yeah. No follow up. Okay, that would have been good. Let's. So we haven't even talked 50 minutes and we haven't talked about the Zarya Arcana initial reaction. So last week we said, this is going to be the hardest thing for Zarya to hear in the entire world, that she is going to be, she's a royal twin. Nope. Zarya's really hype to be a twin.
She was about it.
I think it's a different aspect of this new element for Zarya than I was anticipating. I thought Zarya to initially go to, wow, I'm a princess. That's not, that doesn't fit in with my self-image, but Zarya is just happy to have Arcana's family because she's never had family. I think that's a really interesting perspective on this, and I like where we go with it.
I liked it too.
I agree. Like I want to know more about her backstory. Like, because she said, I miss my mom, but then it's like, who's your mom? And then it's like, you're so desperate for love and familial love and like, what's going to happen? Like, what is Piper going to feel about this? And I don't know. I have so many thoughts and I want to give Zarya a hug because clearly like, she's just, without us like maybe it would have been cool if she's so happy and it makes me so sad for her because she was so lonely and she just hasn't shown that to us yet, and I just want her to like be okay. That was a lot, but I just have a lot of love for Zarya. She's my wolf bae.
Wolf bae. Wow.
Wolf bae?
Well, dragon wolf bae.
Is she your wolf child? Like the wolf children?
Oh, no, because see, like, I would actually want to hang out with her. These wolf children are ungrateful, and their mother just Like, they do not deserve their
Spoilers
mother.
for wolf children. Wow. Okay. Yeah, April, what did you think of Zarya's reaction to being hype about being sisters?
I loved it. I know that it wasn't like our prediction of her being like, oh my gosh, I'm a princess, like, who am I now? And we might still get that later on, but I love that she's just so excited to be like Arcana's sister. Like, that was the whole thing for me. She was just like, she's like, you're my sister, like, we're sis, like, we're going on a quest together, it's our first quest together. Like, I just thought it was so sweet, like, because, you know, part of, I guess, her person is that she just wanted like family, and so she sort of like tries to fill that void, I guess, by like, you know, adopting the kid. She sort of like takes care of the kids from the Undercity, and then like she was, you know, a sky pirate and all of this stuff. And so it just seemed like, I love her being excited about something. And so the fact that it's like Arcana, like, that just sort of like solidifies, like, look, like, we have this bond kind of thing, even though we're two totally different people. Like, I think I really appreciated that they didn't focus on that sort of aspect. Like, oh, we're not the same. Like, how will I ever be a princess? And again, we might still get that later, but I loved her excitement, and I was really mad at Arcana for being cold. Like, but I guess I get why she was.
Don't be milk. No being
Yeah, and that's amazing. It's like that, you know, how last week we were talking about how, oh, this is going to be a big Zarya moment, but not a big Arcana moment. I love how this is like, Arcana, like, yeah, she gained a sister, but she lost Proxima as a sister. And that's like a huge, like, I don't know. I just thought like her reaction to it made it more like my fear of last week of her, like, her feelings not really mattering that much in comparison to Zarya's, because hers was such a monumental shift of identity. Having Zarya just be so happy about this and being like, oh my God, like, I have family now, makes Arcana kind of being like, oh God, what about, like, it just made her relationship to Proxima just that, it shows that her relationship to Proxima is just that much more meaningful to her, not more meaningful than her and Zarya, but like, not that there's like a competition there, but it kind of shows you how like, there's a lot going on in her, and it's kind of like unfair to Zarya, and she owns up to it. She's like, no, I am happy, but
yeah,
I don't know.
It's good that we threw in the reaction to Proxima as well into Arcana's reaction. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, Zarya says, questing with you is so much fun. Our first quest as sisters. And Arcana says, I miss being an only child. There's a good line. Later she says, hey, watch the tiara.
Mm-hmm.
Good Arcana lines. But
is she always wearing the tiara? I've never noticed.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, we have the Arcana and Zarya emojis on the Discord, and I was like, I need to Photoshop the Arcana tiara onto Zarya now too, because they're both princesses.
Oh,
so we need to get Zarya her tiara. But yeah, those were great. We also had like Zarya catching Arcana falling off of the griffin. It's like, okay, this is not helping us get over the ship, and Arcana calling her, saying I love you so many times.
Nope. No, I was like, why did they have to be sisters? Like,
yeah. But later they say, Arcana says, this isn't easy. You know, you and I are so different. Zarya says, forget it. I've never needed family before, and I don't need it now, which I think states their motivations in the scene. Arcana's having trouble with the fact that she thought Proxima's her sister, now she thinks Zarya's her sister, and she's just having a sister, and it was with the girl she had a really complicated relationship with on the team. And Zarya's perspective is that she hasn't had family since she was taken from her village by Captain Chaos. She has Piper as little sister, but now she's an actual sister, and that's really exciting for her. So I think all of that's really, really interesting perspectives on this. Other stuff from the beginning. Oh, we get the explanation why we got the mix up between Proxima and Zarya. Novaterran says that Mrs. Sparklebottom switched Zarya and hid it from Novaterran. Proxima's history was a fabrication. It's not the gem confusion. It was that Mrs. Sparklebottom obfuscated this for Zarya's safety.
I guess it's very sweet.
Yeah. I mean, poor Proxima, like that, like when he says that her entire like life story has been a work of fiction, and her lips just start trembling, and I'm just like, Proxima, no. I don't know. I just felt that was a really great touch of animation. Yeah.
Proxima's reaction is more important, but also people really needed the explanation for the
totally.
Look, we needed that, okay? Like,
I don't really care, but I would have preferred the Jen stroke of midnight time thing, but
thing. It would have, I guess, made more sense, and it almost feels very like, oh, like, look at Mrs. Sparklebottom being proactive. Like, no, I don't know. It seemed very like they just sort of waved it off kind of thing. Like, that's what really happened.
Which we do need to wave it off because we have more important things to get to this episode. But
it's fine. But my heart went out for Proxima, and she is not okay, you guys. She needs all the hugs, and I loved that, like, after, Nova Terran was just like, oh, like, your life has been, like, a lie, essentially. I love that, like, Arcana, like, was the one who was just like, Proxima, like, wait, come back, kind of thing. I thought that really, like, solidified the fact that, like, Arcana did feel close to Proxima, even though, they only just found out they were and / weren't sisters, kind of thing. So,
yeah. In terms of Proxima's reaction, because this is potentially very important down the line, she runs off there. But then Tasma, she has her kind of tempted by evil Star Wars type moment with Tasma.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Tasma breaks in and she's like, what's up, sis? And she's like, the destruction of this pathetic academy, that's what's up. Like, okay, Tasma. Proxima and Tasma, they start like battling, and Tasma says, your talents are wasted on those who deceive you. Join me. And Proxima says, never. So there you go.
Yep.
But then at the end, she runs off when Nova Terran, she says, like, time heals all wounds, does it not, Star Master? So, still upset, although she does resist the call of evil in this episode, and she still seems very pro Astromancer Academy.
Yes, but there is that when Arcana has that whole speech of like, of love and how whatever, and she talks about like, when she mentions sisters and we see both Tasma and Proxima, yes, it's like Tasma, the sister of Mal, like Proxima, the almost sister of Arcana, but having them both in one frame, having the word sisters being said over them, it kind of is like, oh, maybe there's like a bond between these two that's about to be forged in the future, possibly, like perhaps, maybe, who knows.
A lot of interesting things we could get into. Other stuff from what haven't we gotten to here? So we had the scene of Necrafa attacking the Astromancer Academy. They have the Ballastar catapult, and they take the citizens hostage. As this is, I guess, this is like Necrafa's move now. She did this in Gems of the Past, and Nova Terran says, "Nothing like the apocalypse to get your blood pumping. I feel so alive." Good stuff from Nova Terran. M says, another good M line, walk in an orderly fashion, it's been a pleasure defending you. And we get this gag with the
elevator scene. Yeah. I that was wonderful. that was like perfect. I was not upset about that scene at all. They're all just like awkwardly standing in the elevator.
Yeah. And also, like, one, if in a case of an emergency, you take the stairs. One.
Oh, that's what we're upset. Yeah.
That is true. Like, I feel like that is like a universal truth, no matter the magic or whatever in your world. If there's an elevator and there's an emergency, you take the stairs. That was a dangerous thing they did. But I did enjoy it, though. I did enjoy I feel like if without that little bit of without like the little humor that they sprinkle throughout the episode, it could have been pretty heavy, and humor is always a good way to lighten things up a little bit.
Yes. Did we like the binary vision in the beginning of the episode from Arcana and Zarya? Their eyes light up, then they're like in the sky, and they see the rings.
Are we going to see more of that? Because that would be
more visions.
Yeah, because it was what is it? Like, it kind of happened, and then like Nova Terran and all of them were like, "Oh yeah, that's just something that happens." Like, that's true. Like, I remember when they saw like the rings, they didn't say they saw the rings, but then everyone's like, "Oh yeah, the rings," and it's like, wait, who's like? I think Piper had that one line where she was like, she said something similar to what rings, but it wasn't exactly what rings, which is like, I feel like they needed someone to explain like, yo, there are these rings. And everyone's like, wait, there are rings? Like, no one reacted to the ring thing, like, with surprise, which is something that a little bit bugged me a little bit. Everyone was just like, oh yes, of course.
Yeah,
the rings.
we're just moving fast in the beginning. Yeah. There's they have the vision, very kind of fantasy show D&D type thing. Yeah. I think it all fit.
I would have preferred maybe like the roar of a dragon or something in the vision as well. Like, give me some auditory stuff too, because like kind of hint.
Dragon. Yeah, Beatriz very into dragons is what I've learned from this podcast.
Not that I'm super into. I'm just into were-dragons, and I want them to like.
Look, we specifically want were-dragons.
Like, I want them to like go through. Like, I don't know. I'm just big on like transfer body. Like, I'm big on like things mattering, and that's a very big body shift, like a body transformation that they go through. So it's like, I need repercussions to this. I need them to like start.
I mean, it's only because of the rings, and it's only because they fulfilled the prophecy. So I don't know if they were going to have that specific circumstance, but like
I did not realize I cared so much about dragons. And then looking back, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is my favorite Harry Potter book because there are dragons in there. So I guess that makes sense.
We're finding a trend, yeah.
But I'm not into Game of Thrones, so don't try and throw me some Daenerys stuff because I'm just, I can't.
I mean,
too much fire.
We're talking about dragons. We're talking about Daenerys. Okay, but I'll end the episode, the Victory Fiesta. We've mentioned a lot of stuff from this already. Em and Kasey dancing. Arcana talking to Zarya. She says, we can stay up all night and tell each other secrets. We can start sister diaries together. Oh, I have to get you your own quill. So she's very hyped.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Yeah, and we mentioned the Kitty and Zarya stuff. Arcana and Malveron dancing.
And they had that line.
I was scared I might lose you, says Malveron.
No.
No? Wait, back up. No?
I get so, like, I guess every time, like, we do the Arcana and Malveron thing, and when I say we do it, I mean, like, they give us, like, a line, and then that's it. And then we don't do anything with it. It's so much like on the back burner that I'm kind of over it, even though it's the obvious ship. But
it's just very typical. Everything we do with them. It's like I've seen this romance.
Exactly. Well, and I guess it would be more meaningful if they like had more of a relationship.
Right, and we don't even spend that much time with them.
Yeah, we spend 0 time with them. Like, we had, what was it, the one episode in the forest when they were under a spell.
We had the forest episode, we had episode 13, the season 1 finale, and then we had the Quest of the Vexed, where they were mad and they admitted their feelings for each other. So that's kind of all we have.
That's it. Nothing else. Like, we don't get to immediately jump into a relationship. That's not how this works. They are not MC.
And they're not saying, they're not MC. They're not saying I love you like Em and Kasey are. So they're just like, I was scared I might lose you. I like that from Mel. I like Malveron showing vulnerability and stuff. I thought that was good.
It's the best character development we've ever had from him.
Right. But it's clearly number 3 on our ship list. That's for sure. Gandobi and Novataran were dancing. And Gandobi says, bust a move, as we used to say a millennium ago.
I also enjoyed because Novataran's all about the apocalypse, and he's like, yes, we must enjoy this for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell he's into it. He's into all these apocalypse. He lives for this.
He lives the apocalypse.
Yeah, and then at the end, we see the left side of the mask survived. So presumably the other half is gone. Kind of unclear on the left versus right, and you see it happening. And seeing, I don't know, tracking the sides on that. But shout outs to Steve, who predicted one side of the mask surviving. I mean, we throw a million theories in the wall on the Mysticons Discord. This one did happen. I think the reason we arrived at this conclusion that the only one half of the mask might survive is because if someone else puts on the mask, they would just transform into Necropha again. And that's not fulfilling to see someone else as Necropha. You have to see them, if it's Tasma or Proxima, it makes sense. We have an emotional attachment to those characters. So you have to see them as themselves. So if only half the mask survives, we can still see them as themselves partly, and then half Necropha, half person.
Unless one of them Tasma finds one half of the mask, Proxima finds the other half of the mask, and together they are unstoppable.
Combine. Yeah. In theory, we saw that one half disintegrate, although it's kind of unclear. Yeah, that would be cool. They fusion dance and then
yes,
fusion dance, yes. But I just can't wait for like the head shake. You know, when Necropha, like when she opens her mouth, she has to do this like really like intense kind of motion, which is I think the scariest ever thing. That's the scariest visual of the show is Necropha's like head spasm thing. Mm-hmm. So like having someone that we either care about, if it's Proxima, or I care about Tasma still. So having someone we care about put that on and having that shake, like that'll be a visually very
that could be really cool. That's what we're tracking next episode. The mask, where the Mysticons Proxima go on an undersea quest to destroy Necrophis' mask. Malvron must capture Tasma with the help of Doug and Chaco. Chaco making an appearance in the episode summary. Congrats, Chaco.
Way to go, Chaco.
Yeah. Will we see? We're going underseas. Will we see Kelpie again? That's the number one question. The number two question is, who's the mask going to corrupt next? I would love to speculate about this, but I got spoiled thanks to the Toy Fair in the evening in New York. Don't go on Mysticon's Twitter and don't look for the toy pictures because the answer to who's the mask is there. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
So I think that's funny because I remember seeing that picture, but I was not paying that close enough attention.
Okay, yeah, it's not immediately obvious.
I haven't seen this picture, so don't tell me.
You have to look closely to know, so don't look closely.
Oh no, I'm looking for it as we speak.
I mean,
don't spoil yourself. Come on. Yeah, like congrats, toy. Why they have to release the toy the week before this? We get the answer to this. Oh, okay. I mean that's been okay. Anyway, final thoughts on Dragon's Rage, April.
Great episode. Definitely one of the best episodes of this entire show. Way to go, team, again, for knocking it out of the park and executing it so well. So, super hyped. And it lived up to the hype, for sure.
Lived up to the hype. Beatriz, final thoughts.
Dragons.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Where dragons?
Where dragons?
Where dragons? I really, really loved this episode. And I think if I haven't done my ranking list of the episodes, I'd have to rewatch all of them, and I don't have the time. But it'd definitely be up there. Very, very satisfied, and it's all a matter of what they do with it now. Like, is it going to be just this kind of standalone thing where it's like a moment of brilliance, or is the show going to embrace that brilliance and run with it? So we'll see. But at the moment,
I don't think we need to. It can be brilliant, and then we can do other cool things.
No, totally. I'm just saying, if they can't. I'm just saying, where dragons. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. We've gotten the picture. Yeah. By the way, Piper's reaction to Necrophis being defeated that was fabtacular.
Fabtacular.
Thank you,
okay, one criticism: not enough Piper in this episode.
Yeah, Piper got the short end of the stick on this episode for sure.
She did.
She's some cool things like during M's speech, she's inserting some interesting. Yeah, but Piper is definitely fourth on the rankings of this episode. But I have a hot take to close us out. Arcana, MVP of the season. I think that's not that out of a take. She's most improved, and
I
between
agree.
this and episode 20. Hot take: Arcana now the best character on the show.
Ooh,
no.
Not necessarily my favorite,
agree.
but I think she's the most developed.
I'd agree.
Okay, yes.
It's either her, Zarya, or M. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. There's M had a great season, but there's not like M specific arcs. I think Arcana's had a ton of focus, and I think she went from a character that was actively like we weren't that into season 1 to now she is just wonderful.
Yeah.
And
I'm not just saying that because I got her in my quiz of which Mysticon are you. I'm not just saying that.
Quiz.
I'm just saying that she's amazing, and not solely because
getting Arcana. That's interesting.
Yeah. I need this quiz now.
Yeah, we'll link the quiz in Discord. Dragon's Rage, incredible. I think I think I might put it at number 1. I don't know. Stay tuned to the Mysticons Reddit. I'll post my rankings there. This coming up. Reddit.com/r/Mysticons. And also join us on Discord, overlyanimated.com/Discord. Million theories on Mysticons happening. And you can find, we'll link you to the quiz too, if you go there.
You could be Arcana too.
I really hope I'm M.
It's not. It's a bad quiz. I don't. It's one of those quiz. It's one of those quizzes where it's like count the number of A's you got.
Yeah, that's really.
I can't do it because my mind games the quiz as I'm taking it. It's like, okay, obviously all the B's are Zarya, and I want Zarya, so I'll pick all the B's.
It's one of those.
I don't like those.
I wanted it to be like BuzzFeed in nature.
No. We got to develop a really intricate Quizilla quiz of which Mysticon are you. Like the sorting hat. Yeah,
let's do it, and
that'll be our group
exclusive
project.
on OVA.
That's our group project. Overlyanimated.com/Discord is the place to be for Mysticons talk, and let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments, and subscribe to not miss any of this. Overlyanimated.com /iTunes. I don't know if that works, but or on our YouTube. Go to overlyanimated.com, click on YouTube, click subscribe. Don't miss our future Mysticons content, and what else? Patreon. Check out patreon.com/overlyanimated and consider supporting us there. Thanks to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Eric, and thanks to our patron executive producers John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Andy, and Hugh. Looks like the mask will be, although there's some funky things happening with Nick's schedulings, but it looks like we'll be back to discuss the Max next week. Thank you guys very much for listening, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Jim Carrey better be in the next episode.
No.
Yes.
No, wrong mask.